A lot of places are seeing it as something that can add value to their company or to their organization. You don't necessarily have to just have pastoral backgrounds to make this happen.
Joining us, and don't worry, we've got all the basketball chat out of the way off air because we've found a similarity between us. We're joined by Justin Cherry, who is the chaplaincy facilitator for South Pacific Bible College this morning. Hello, Justin. Welcome to the show.
Hello. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Hey, great to have you on. So we're here to talk a little bit about chaplaincy and also your chaplaincy certificate through the Bible College coming up, and we'll give people details about that. But first of all, you do have a bit of an American accent. How long have you been in New Zealand?
16 years now. So the accent's not going anywhere. It's thick.
Yeah, that's locked in. Yeah, nice. And how long have you been doing chaplaincy work yourself?
About 15 years now. I've been doing chaplaincy in different forms and fashions.
How'd you get into chaplaincy?
So really long story, but my background is actually finance and fraud investigation. And I was really good at finding problems and creating solutions. But I got to a point in my life where I was tired of getting people in trouble, and I wanted to help people thrive and walk with them through their obstacles and troubles.
Yeah. And
chaplaincy just seemed to be a really good way for me because I'm also a pastor, but as a chaplain, I can walk with people in very non-religious settings, and they seem to trust me a little bit more and walk with me a little bit more. And I just really wanted to help people thrive because I believe that God has given us identity to live on purpose for a purpose. And it just seemed like a good way to help people do that.
Have you ever been in a situation where you're kind of counseling or being a chaplain to somebody who's going through like a financial fraud investigation and you're like, trust me, I know all about this?
I have, maybe not to that exact extent, but there's been times where the fraud skills kick in. I'm like, I got to get that out of my head because I'm just trying to catch them in the act. So yeah, don't want to do that.
For someone who maybe not familiar with, what is the role of a chaplain? And how are they kind of different from maybe, say, like you say, a pastor? Or a counselor or a therapist or something like that. What differentiates a chaplain?
So a chaplain, I guess the easiest definition is they provide spiritual and life guidance, but in a non-religious setting. So quite often a pastor has people coming either to their church or their parish, or people just assume that's what they're looking for when they come to a pastor. A counselor can be very clinical, but with a chaplain, it's more like relational than it is clinical. So it's more about walking with the people through whatever circumstances they're going through, whatever they're dealing with, and using listening skills, like very intently listening and giving them that space to navigate whatever they're dealing with, and just being there to help them do that through questions and what I like to call just that ministry of presence. Like, I'm just here for whatever you need. And I found that to be pretty helpful for people that just need a place to talk. People just need a place to talk quite often.
You said chaplains are often in non-religious settings. What kind of settings are you talking about?
Yeah, so you got, your common ones you would think of, but like schools and hospitals, defense force, police, fire, ambulance. But there's also some really, like, businesses are actually starting to see more needs for a chaplain. Sometimes they're called well-being coaches, but a lot of them there are a lot of businesses that are just saying, hey, we would like a chaplain in our facilities. There's sports chaplains. A friend of mine is a music chaplain to the music industry.
Wow.
And he just told me about another guy that's a chaplain, starting a chaplaincy program for the film industry. You have chaplains in media. So, I mean, in my opinion, there's all sorts of different ways we could build chaplaincy into different programs. So if you can think of a way to do it, there's probably a good chance you could be a chaplain in that environment.
What kind of person, and like, do you sort of see this in people that you, I don't know, just meet day to day, come across where you're like, man, they would make a great chaplain. Like, they just have innately the skills or gifts given to them by God within them that you can see that you're like, man, that would be such a great fit for you. What kind of person is that, do you think?
I think a lot of the skills are learned too. So like listening is a huge one. When you run into somebody who's you're like, man, they're just a good listener. I think they make a good chaplain. I think you got to just have some kind of love for people. Like, people are going to wear us out. That's normal. You're going to get to a point in any job you do where you're just like, man, I don't want to be around people right now. But as a chaplain, you have to have that desire to want to help people, be with people.
Yeah.
And so, I run into people like that all the time, that you just see their ability to connect. Like, they just naturally can connect with people and talk about whatever they want to talk about. And I think that's such a skill and a gift people have that would make a good chaplain.
Do we have enough chaplains at the moment?
No, not. I don't think so at all. It's kind of a new thing, right? Like, so chaplaincy for a while was just seen as this extension of pastoral care. But I think a lot of businesses are now seeing it as a separate thing. A lot of places are seeing it as something that can add value to their company or to their organization. And you don't necessarily have to just have pastoral backgrounds to make this happen. And so there's a lot of places that well-being in New Zealand is a big thing right now, right? Like we have a high rate of depression, and well-being care is at a all-time high. And I think chaplains can help in what I would like call they're almost like triage. Like a chaplain's job is to help people navigate that space and help them decide, do I need more care than I'm getting right now? Do I need a counselor? Do I need to go see a psychologist? Who do I have? So chaplains have to have those resources in place to help navigate people to the right place for them. And yeah, I don't think there's enough of those right now. I think there's always going to be a need for it.
If you just tuned in, we're talking to Justin Cherry, who's the chaplains facilitator for South Pacific Bible College. So you guys do like a certificate in chaplaincy. So let's talk about that a little bit. And I know it's coming up really soon. Your next kind of block or intake or cohort, I think was the word that you used before. So this is kicking off like early January. So tell us about the course.
Yeah, so it's a 1-year program. It's NZQA accredited. So you have everything you need when you leave that program to be an efficient chaplain. You'll have to obviously learn as you go. But we teach a lot of skills, and it's all online. It's part-time, so you have time to do it. We meet once a week, and that's for us to connect with one another and navigate whatever they're going through, whether it be their learnings, their readings, or the practicums that they may be already practicing their chaplaincy skills in. But we also bring in guest speakers from different chaplains. So you're going to see a wide range of chaplains and what they do, so you can kind of see, maybe this is where I would like to see myself after I graduate. You learn a lot of different skills, practical skills. We start out with, what is a chaplain? Like, what do they actually do? Active listening skills. You're going to learn coaching skills, because I think the art of asking good questions is essential, because most people have the answers already built within them. They just need somebody to help kind of pull that out. You're going to do placements. And then we teach things like boundaries and self-care, which are highly important for any occupation where you're working with other people. You got to be able to set those boundaries and take care of yourself.
Is there quite a theological element to this as well, in terms of, like, obviously chaplaincy is Christian chaplaincy. Is that kind of part of it too, like the studying of the Bible involved in that?
Yeah, so we want them to see the foundations of how God has created us. We want them to see, how is God playing out in our world today, and when people are working through things, or navigating these hard obstacles, how is God maybe speaking into that? So we definitely bring in that theological component to, how do you see God? How do you see our world? And what is God up to as we're working with people in our world? So they're going to have to navigate those issues, as well as all the practical sides of that too.
And you said it's online. So when you say you meet together once a week, is that like an online meeting where everyone comes together?
Yep.
So you can do it from anywhere in the country?
So anywhere in the country. You come together, you log in through Zoom, and we just have our meeting. It's an hour, and then we meet for an hour, and then we meet for 30 minutes to have a guest speaker. Or, because there's 2 cohorts usually running simultaneously, we'll sometimes just get them together for 30 minutes and let them kind of talk about what's going on in your life. And it's one of the highlights for me is watching these students already helping one another practically learn how to be a better chaplain. That's why we call ourselves facilitators. I'm in no way the expert in the room. I'm just one of the people helping guide them to figure out the answers and resources that they need to actually go do the job.
How cool. If you want to go study this, where do you go?
If you go on to www.spbc.org.nz, you can find more information on chaplaincy. You can also apply online. And the next cohort, does begin in January. So I'd suggest, if you're interested, get in soon. We'd love to have you.
Yeah, if you want to find out more, like you said, SPBC, that's South Pacific Bible College.org.nz. You can find it. You can Google it. You'll be able to look it up. Thank you so much, Justin. It's been great hearing about a bit of your story and what's coming up, and hopefully really helpful for people listening as well.
Thank you all very much. Appreciate it.
Cheers, man. Tora Wells for you now. This is Highs Get Low. Again, if you want to check that out or find out more, spbc.org.nz to find out about becoming a chaplain for yourself.